The information provided in this video is general in nature. Please consult with your registered migration agent or solicitor based on your personal circumstances before making any decision. This program is brought to you by Baba Education Consultancy, versatile service with a personal touch.
नमस्कार, म हुँ मदन कोइराला र तपाई सम्पूर्णलाई मेरो युट्युब च्यानलमा स्वागत छ। अस्ट्रेलिया सम्बन्धी कुनै पनि जानकारी या कुनै पनि भिजा, माइग्रेसन, यहाँको जीवनशैली, रहनसहन लगायतका तपाईको कुनै पनि जिज्ञासा छ, प्रश्न छ, क्वेरीजहरु छ भने ती क्वेरीजहरुको उत्तर दिनु हेतुका साथ हामीले सुरु गरेको कार्यक्रम स्टडी इन अस्ट्रेलिया प्रश्न उत्तरको एपिसोड 12 मा हामी आइपुगेको छौं र आजको कार्यक्रममा पनि तपाईहरुको प्रश्नको उत्तर लिएर हामी आइपुगेका छौं भने आजको कार्यक्रममा हामीसँग विशेष अतिथिका रूपमा हुनुहुन्छ रजिस्टर्ड माइग्रेसन एजेन्ट बसन्त खरेल। उहाँले आज तपाईहरुको प्रश्नको उत्तर दिनुहुनेछ र ढिलो नगरिकन उहाँलाई स्वागत गर्दै पहिलो प्रश्न तपाईहरुको माझमा प्रस्तुत गर्न चाहन्छु र आजको लागि पहिलो प्रश्न यस प्रकारको रहेको छ।
सर, हामी ताजबनिया मुभ हुँदैछौँ। मेरो वाइफ मेमा जाने अनि म 3 मन्थ पछि जाने। छुट्टा छुट्टै जाँदा पछि 491 हाल्दा रिक्स हुन्छ र टिआर हो अहिले हाम्रो।
In terms of Tasmanian requirement, it is the individual state requirement. The whole idea is to demonstrate that you have got a genuine intention to stay in Tasmania and make it home. Obviously, everyone is human, and they would consider some human factors and compelling cases. But as long as you can substantiate that you have got a compelling case to stay apart for some time, if that is the case, I wouldn't stay apart too long.
Dai, can we work full time if we work in quarantine sector for a student? Please, vandinu na.
There are certain employer group who are approved to allow students to work more than 40 hours a fortnight. In terms of quarantine worker, I think we need to be more specific, whether it's hospitality or any particular worker. If you can give us pinpoint the details, we'll be able to guide you further.
Hi sir, in employer-sponsored visa in New South Wales for temporary skill shortages 482, does skills assessment is mandatory?
In terms of 482, the mandatory skill assessment is dependent on the occupation you are nominating and the country of origin. For example, if you are intending to nominate as occupation of cook and your country of origin is Nepal, yes, skill assessment is mandatory. If it is something else, please contact us and we will be able to guide you through.
I have 4 years of part-time experience in kitchen and I already finished Cert 4 in commercial cookery. Give me suggestion, what should I do next? Sydney.
Look, if you have already done commercial cookery and have worked 4 years, you may be able to get a skill assessment as a cook under RPL pathway, but we need to ensure that you have worked at a skill level, and then once you get a skill assessment as a cook, you may be able to go to regional area, find employment there, and you may be able to satisfy 491 requirement in individual RDA, but we need to be very specific. We need more information to be able to guide you properly.
सर, मेरो भाइको 10 पछि 2 years ग्याप भयो, त्यसपछि उसले +2 गरेको छ। अस्ट्रेलिया एप्लाई गर्दा के हुन्छ होला?
Definitely he can apply for a student visa. There is no such thing as the person with a gap can't apply. As long as you can substantiate that the person was engaged in a meaningful activity, be it employment or side study, you should be able to apply for a student visa.
दाई, मेरो छोराको भिजिटमा भिजा लागेको लास्ट इयर। भिजा पनि मार्चमा सकियो। म, मेरो ठुलो छोरा र मेरो हस्बेन्ड हामी अस्ट्रेलियामा नै छौं। Is any condition to bring him in Australia? Please reply me.
The question is not very clear here. I think the important thing to establish here is whether or not you are Australian permanent resident or Australian citizen. If you are Australian permanent resident or citizen and there is a minor offshore and the psychological well-being and physical well-being of the minor is compromised, and you are here onshore, you may be able to apply for exemption given a compelling case. I don't really know what the question is referring to. If it is for a non-resident, you are still welcome to make. If you think you have got a compelling case, you are still welcome to go to Department of Home Affairs website, look at the guidelines, or contact us.
नमस्ते दाई, मेरो हस्बेन्ड नेपालमा छ, म तास्मेनियामा छु। टुरिस्ट भिजा 2 times रिजेक्ट भयो हस्बेन्डको। मैले के गरेर मेरो हस्बेन्ड ल्याउन सकिएला?
Unfortunately, I need more context to this question. We need to investigate or look at very closely why the tourist visa was rejected, and if your student visa, why didn't you apply for under other avenues such as subsequent entrant visa? If you're on temporary graduate visa, why didn't you apply as a subsequent temporary visa? We need to look into more details and see why the visa was refused, so that we can argue for the future application.
Hi, what comes under compelling and compassion reasons, and can our university and workplace support to make those reasons stronger and more accurate?
In terms of compelling and compassionate circumstances, it is very wide. Department of Home Affairs, the Commissioner has published the guidelines. They consider compassionate and compelling if somebody's psychological or physical well-being is compromised, that involves minor and it affects Australian citizen, they may consider it as a compassionate and compelling. If you go through the guidelines in Department of Home Affairs, it should clearly explain you what constitutes a compelling case.
I am on a student-dependent visa, but now I want to study MBA. My past background in also masters and 10 years gap. I am unsure. Can I get enrollment?
Definitely, you can get enrollment, but the question here is whether or not you meet a GTE, genuine temporary entrant criteria, which is also one of the eligibility requirement of a student visa. If you can demonstrate that you have been engaged in employment or in external studies in 10 years time, and that related to your past studies and future studies that you are intending to do, I don't see any problem applying for universities.
RN को लागि 190 state nomination को लागि Victoria or Canberra?
To be able to give you a specific answer, I need to see whether or not you have got enough points to be more competitive. I need to see your experience and your specific registered nurse in a specific area, such as aged care, emergency or NEC, not elsewhere classified. But looking at a generic question, I would say Canberra is probably a better choice as opposed to Victoria.
नमस्कार हजुर, मेरो हस्बेन्ड र छोरीको भिजा त लाग्यो, बट यो कोभिडले गर्दा आउन गाह्रो छ। के exemption letter एप्लाई गर्न मिल्छ कि नै भनिदिनुस् न।
Definitely, everyone has a right to apply for exemption. Having a visa is one thing, letting into Australia is another. To come to Australia, you need exemption to be able to travel and enter into Australia. If you think you've got a compelling case that you can argue, please go to Department of Home Affairs website, go to the guidelines, and it will clearly guide you as in what constitutes a compelling case. Then you should be able to apply it. If you need further like specific tailored information, we are here to help.
सर, म जापानमा छु। जापानबाट टुरिस्ट भिजामा अस्ट्रेलिया आएर स्टुडेन्ट भिजामा चेन्ज गर्न सक्छु कि नै सर, प्लिज रिप्लाई गरिदिनु न।
I think this is a very tricky question. Applying for a tourist visa is one thing, where you have to meet a GT criteria again. That means when you apply for a tourist visa, you write to the department that you will return to the country of origin, and when you come here and you intend to apply for student visa, you do the same thing again. I think those two visas are mixed together. I think you should take it separately. If you need further guidance, you can contact us.
म पोल्यान्डमा छु। पोल्यान्डबाट अस्ट्रेलिया आउन के गर्न पर्छ होला सर? I have 8 year experience to SAFE and PR. Please reply me.
That's good that you've got experience as SAFE, but the question is whether or not you satisfy the skill assessment requirement for SAFE, and whether or not the VETASOS, which is a skill assessment authority, recognizes the work you are doing at a skill level. If you meet all those requirements and all the validity and eligibility requirements, all the English requirements, you may be able to apply, but we will need further information and to be able to assess this application properly.
दाई, I got my skill assessment as a SAFE. म चाहिँ still student visa मा छु. I am thinking of some PR pathway. What should I do now?
With SAFE skill assessment, it is very competitive, and a lot of people are doing it. We need to ensure you've got enough points to apply for other visas, such as 189, 190, and 491. We would need your English competency, your experience, location you are in, and then we will be able to answer it properly.
Hello sir, my husband is working as SAFE in restaurant. It's been more than 2 years. Is there any pathway for PR?
Okay, as I said before, this question is very similar to the previous one. If he has worked as a SAFE, we have to ensure whether or not he is eligible to get a skill assessment. Without a skill assessment, we can't proceed with any skilled visas. First, let's establish whether or not satisfies the requirement. Second, whether we will assess whether or not he has the English requirement and the experience requirement, and that will be able to guide us whether or not we can apply for a skilled visa.
मसँग युरोपियन पासपोर्ट छ। मैले एप्लाई गर्दा कसरी गर्न सक्छु फर लङ टर्म स्टे एन्ड वर्कको लागि? And I am below 30.
In terms of applying for visa, you would apply like the same rules and regulation would apply to you, despite having a European passport. If you have got a European passport from certain countries, you may have some advantage while applying for a student visa, such as assessment level. And some countries would have waiver provision for English language requirement, but we need specific information to be able to answer this question.
Sir, I would like to inform you that I am safe. I have more than 12 years experience in this field, but can't clear my IELTS. Can I apply Australia?
The good thing is you have been working as safe for 12 years. We need to establish whether or not you get a skill assessment again. And second thing, unfortunately, all the skill visa would require at least a competent level English, which is 6 equivalent in IELTS. Then only you would be able to apply. There are no other provisions currently for the English waiver.
I am +2 management student and I have only agriculture experience and I have Portuguese passport. Can I settle down in Australia?
Unfortunately, having a Portuguese passport on its own is not going to make you eligible to settle in Australia. You would still have to go through all the visa requirements to be able to apply. But however, in some cases, such as student visa, you may be able to have advantage for like an English language requirement and other assessment criteria.
म अहिले रोमेनियामा छु। मसँग यहाँको टेम्पोररी रेसिडेन्स छ। मैले अस्ट्रेलियाको लागि एप्लाई गर्न सक्छु?
Okay, in terms of your country of residence, it looks like you're still a citizen of Nepal, and then same provisions apply. You would still have to go through same rules and regulations that applies to Nepalese citizen in terms of applying for visa. If you give us more information about your occupation, English language proficiency, and other experience, we may be able to look into further avenues.
Exemption पाएको कति विक्समा अस्ट्रेलिया आइसक्नु पर्छ?
There are different regulations in terms of outbound exemption and inbound exemption. Normally they grant up to 3 months, but this may change. This has been changing every day. I would refer you to Department of Home Affairs website, and then it's very easy to follow and you'll be able to see that.
हजुर, पक्कै पनि आजको यस भिडियोमा यस कार्यक्रममा तपाईहरुको प्रश्नको उत्तर दिने हामीले कोसिस गर्यौं र साथसाथै तपाईहरुसँग पनि यस्तै एजुकेसन, माइग्रेसन, अस्ट्रेलियाको जीवनशैली र साथसाथै यहाँ सम्बन्धी कुनै पनि समस्या छ, कुनै पनि जिज्ञासा छ भने लेखेर पठाउन सक्नुहुनेछ यसै भिडियोको कमेन्ट बक्समा र अर्को भिडियोमा अर्को अङ्कमा तपाईहरुको प्रश्नको उत्तर लिएर हामी फेरि पनि आउने छौं। अहिलेसम्म कार्यक्रम हेरेर साथ दिनुभयो त्यसको लागि हार्दिक आभार। कुनै पनि सुझाव सल्लाह या प्रतिक्रिया छ भने लेखेर पठाउनका लागि आग्रह गर्दै आजको यस एपिसोडबाट म बिदा माग्न चाहन्छु। तपाईको समय शुभ रहोस्। नमस्ते, नमस्कार। This program is brought to you by Baba Education Consultancy, versatile service with a personal touch.